I've been getting a lot of weird questions lately. People are asking me if I'm a wizard or something. I mean, I don't get why. All I did was make some floating shelves, but I guess I can show you how I did that non-magical style. Here we are. We made two cuts at 17 3/4 inches. The reason why I did that is because this is the width of my toilet. Now we need to do is make the braces that'll come off of our mounting brackets. Our three pieces are cut for both shelves. As you can see, these are at 8 1/4 inch. The reason why they're 8 1/4 inch is because when you factor in the thickness of our back bracket, that's an extra 1.5 inches, and I want these to be at 9 3/4 inches long or out from the wall. So that's why we had to make sure we adjusted these down so that we would be at that measurement and not way past it. Additionally, something you need to make note of is whatever you choose to use for your material thickness for plywood. For example, I'm going to be using 3/4 inch plywood for this. All your measurements are going to be increased by 3/4 inches. So 2x4s are actually 3.5 inches. When you factor in an extra 3/4 inch on the top of that and the bottom of that bracket, it's actually going to be 5 inches right there. So make sure you're keeping that in mind if you're trying to be very snug with all of your measurements. But for me, I'm okay with the extra bulky look on top and bottom of the shelves, as well as the left to right, because these are going to be the main focal point above my toilet. There's actually a few ways you can put all of your shelves together. The first way we are going to do is with pocket holes. Next, what we're going to do is just simply secure these from the back with some 2.5 inch decking screws to make sure, A, that we get the screw completely submerged into the wood so it doesn't butt up against the wall, and B, because they drive really well and secure really good. So let's do that one now. As you can see back here, we have 3 screws in every single bracket piece that we have. And again, as you can see, these are deeply submerged, which is why I like these decking screws by Deckmate. I use these on a lot of projects, even not decks, obviously. So that's how we did that for that. And now it's time to rip up some plywood. But before we rip up some plywood, have you liked the video? Did you comment down below? Have you subscribed to the channel yet? If you haven't done any of those things, take a quick second, do those now, as well as turn on the post notification so you never miss a video from yours truly. So the first set of cuts we've made, we've ripped our top and bottom sheets of our plywood at 9 13/16. Just make sure you measure from your widest point, and that's where you make your cuts. So we have 4 sheets cut there, the tops and bottoms of all these. Next, what we have to do is cut our plywood for this part right here on the sides. We're going to do both sides first. They measure at 5 inches for all of them. So let's make some cuts. As you can see, our carcasses are now mocked up. The last thing we are going to have to do is cut a strip to cover our fronts of our floating shelves. Alright, so here we are. We have our fronts now attached and secured. One thing, if you have any problems with your angles or cuts, I suggest using your belt sander to get everything as close to flush as possible before you secure everything. And obviously I have some highs and lows on both of these, so I'm also going to use my belt sander to clean these up to make them nice and flush all over the place. And once that step's done, I'm also going to put wood filler in all of my gauge holes from my brad nailer. So we're going to do those 2 steps next, off camera, as well as sanding the rest of it and staining it. So we are done with these until the very end. But we'll also be going over attaching our brackets into the wall to get those ready for once these are dry. Alright, so here we are. We have everything sketched out. You can see this left line on both areas where I want the shelves to be. That is the most true line I drew according to being in line with my TV. So what I did from here is I went from this corner all the way over and marking out every 16 inches to see where the stud lied. The first one was right here, and that did not work. There was no stud. So then I went from this corner all the way over, looking at every 16 inches, and it brought me to right here, and that was my stud. So as you can see on the wall, I marked it with some S's, and I even used a 1/16 bit to make sure that there was actually a stud there. And so once I confirmed that, I lined up my brackets in accordance to the wall. You can see that I marked an S right here because this is where I'll drive into the wall with a screw. And then I marked right here because I plan to put in a drywall anchor in both spots in order to make sure that, you know, these shelves won't fall and collapse one day. So I will show you my process for drilling in our drywall anchors, and then we will get this up and secured in place. And this is all going on while our wood putty is drying. All right, guys, so what I did, you can see I pre-drilled a hole with a 5/32 bit in my drill. That's right here. So what I plan to do next in this time lapse that you're gonna see in a few seconds is I plan to, you know what? I'll do it live. We're doing it live. So what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna simply line up the edge of my brace with where I want it to be, kind of eyeball how level it is right now, and then I'm gonna simply take my drill and push through the entire the entire 2x4 into the wall so I know exactly where I need to put my drywall toggle. This is a really weird angle, but here it goes. Oh yeah, look at that mess. We love that. So, as you can see now, my pre-drilled hole is right here for where I want my toggle to go. I hope that clipped it. And as you can see, from me drilling through the 2x4 with my 5/32 bit, I went and got through the drywall, so I know exactly where I want to put my drywall toggle. And my toggles are right here. These are what they're looking like. Nice long screws. These have up to 100 pounds capacity in terms of weight support, so they should be plenty strong between one on the side as well as being into the stud. So we are gonna now get these drywall toggles in place. So I'm angry and annoyed. For whatever reason, that toggle would not cooperate and go straight in. So there's something that it's catching on the other side of the wall, even though I don't know what it is. So it's been 3 years since we tore apart this drywall. Anyways, I drilled another hole. I'm moving it over slightly. I already marked it in the stud bracket as well. So we're gonna give this hole a shot. Well, as you saw, I had blind optimism that my first hole would work, but it didn't, so we made a second hole, again, just like down here. So now I'm going to be putting our screws all the way through our brackets into our new anchors, and we will have at least one side of this all secured. Then what I plan to do is take my screws, my decking screws that we used for the second bracket, and actually use those to drive home our bracket into the wall, into the stud. So those two things will get done, and then we'll be rocking and rolling. Alright guys, so as you can see, we have our two screws that are into the stud right here. We have our one screw that is into our anchor. We use a level to make sure everything is spaced out correctly. That one's good there. That guy is good there. I'm very happy with this, and I double checked it by making sure that going from the ceiling to the top of our bracket on both sides was the same, and then I made sure the distance from the bottom of this bracket to the top of this bracket was the same as well. So that's extra ways to double check yourself on top of just using the level. So the next thing I'm going to do is sand down our actual carcasses and get everything all stained up. So I will see you after I'm done there. Alright guys, so here we are all sanded up. We hit it with some 80 grit just because of the plywood. It's a little rougher to start with. So that's just my process. Might not be the best way to do it, but it's worked for me the best. And then we hit it with some 120, then 220. Now, a comment I could probably potentially see getting is why do I not edge band the plywood edges to make everything look whole? And that's simply because it's kind of my preference. If you watch Mike Montgomery on Modern Builds, he does a lot of like live edge with the plywood exposed, and I kind of like it. It's a little bit more modern. I've been doing the modern rustic thing in my house for 3 years, and I'm kind of transitioning out of that. So I'm gonna just give this a shot, and we are gonna be using this Minwax solid. It's a gray. I know, classic gray. I didn't know if it was a specific kind. It's water-based. Personally, I'm not actually a fan of this stain at all. I feel like it's more of paint than anything. It's supposed to be that way because like a thicker coat, better application. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but we're going to use it because I don't want to put more dark wood in my bathroom to make it feel even smaller. And this gray will go good off of the tile I have in my shower. Plus all of my fixtures are stainless steel, and it'll be a nice little contrast. So I'm going to get this all stained up, and you'll see it when it's done. Alright, so as you can see, we have the first coat on here. Again, for whatever reason, this stain just really doesn't soak in that well, like normal stains do from like Varathane that I usually get at Home Depot. This Minwax is what I got from Lowe's for a different project. However, I can't complain too much because I do like how you can still see a lot of the grain everywhere. And it kind of actually does a decent job of covering the plywood edges. Also say on the can that it's like one coat and done. I'll see how I feel about that. Again, I literally, it feels like I'm trying to paint with stained paint. Does that make sense? It's like I'm putting paint on these, but applying it like it's stained. I don't know. It's weird, but I do actually like how these look. However, I still hate working with this product. Again, as soon as this can's done, I'm never going to use it again, but I'll see you in the morning. And that's going to be it for this week's video. If you liked the video, like the video. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe to my channel. Turn on post notifications. If you too made yourself a magical non-wizard by making some floating shelves, let me know down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day or night. Don't forget to keep God number one. God bless.